Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The Warriors have a strong track record of excellent three-point shooters. The Warriors are reportedly considering signing Malik Beasley. The Golden State Warriors have been known for their shooting for quite some time, and their next addition could reflect that. This offseason has been a quiet one in San Francisco. As the Warriors look to resolve their Jonathan Kuminga problem, other free agents have been on hold as they expect to spend next season in Golden State. However, an interesting wrinkle might have been thrown in Golden State's plans recently. While the Warriors are expected to sign some free agents already, the one player who could take them to the next level might have just entered the market again. Malik Beasley to Golden State? On Friday, Malik Beasley was dropped as a target in a federal gambling investigation, leading to the effective start of his free agency. While his breakout year with the Detroit Pistons last season likely would have landed him a big deal this summer, the market has dried up as his off-court issues have overshadowed any potential deals. In a recent CBS Sports article, Robbie Colland mentioned the Warriors as a wildcard destination for Beasley. Colland explained that Golden State's intriguing cap situation amid the Kuminga saga could put it in a position to sign Beasley, even if it still goes through with some of its other expected signings, such as Al Horford. After averaging 16.3 points and shooting 41.6% from deep on over 9 attempts per game, Beasley could easily complement Stephen Curry in the backcourt and create a new version of the Splash Brothers going into next season. Reason for Warriors reportedly shooting down trade talks on two players. The Golden State Warriors have had a peculiarly quiet 2025 NBA offseason, being the only team in the league that has yet to make a roster addition through a trade or free agent signing. The Warriors' zero-move offseason is large in part because of their problem with restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga, as the team has still not been able to find a resolution with the 22-year-old forward. Golden State tried to find a sign-and-trade solution for Kuminga, but after turning down every offer that came their way, they eventually shut down those conversations completely. What's the holdup for Golden State? The Sacramento Kings reportedly had the best offer for Kuminga, as they were willing to give the Warriors Malik Monk and a protected first-round pick, but Golden State still did not like this idea. Sure, giving away a disgruntled forward like Kuminga for a standout scorer like Monk would be great, but to make the financial side of it work, the Warriors would have to give up either Moses Moody or Buddy Hield. However, the Warriors do not want to give either of them away. NBA insider Jake Fisher on the Stein Line reported that Hield and Moody are off the table for Golden State, largely in part because the team does not want to sacrifice their limited three-point shooting threats. Sources tell the Stein Line, furthermore, that Golden State has refused this summer to even entertain sign-and-trade scenarios that would require it to surrender either Buddy Hield or Moses Moody because of the limited options currently on the roster in terms of proven shooters not named Curry, Fisher wrote. Moody and Hield's importance. On paper, many would assume that the Warriors would be willing to give up Moody or Hield for the right trade return, but they play a much more important role than expected. The Warriors, of course, have the greatest shooter of all time with Steph Curry, but they have limited threats outside of him since Klay Thompson walked in free agency last offseason. Hield's shooting touch was on full display last season, especially in the playoffs. In 12 playoff appearances, Hield averaged 12.5 points per game and shot 42.9% from beyond the arc on 6.4 attempts per contest. Hield's legacy as a Warrior was particularly cemented in Game 7 of their first-round matchup against the Houston Rockets, as the sharpshooter dropped 33 points on 9-11 shooting from deep to help take Golden State to the second round. If the Warriors can get that version of Hield for an entire season, the team would be a more legitimate threat to be a top team in the West. The Warriors should not be closed off to Hield and Moody trade offers, especially if the right return comes around, but it makes sense for the front office not to be actively shopping them. Warriors reportedly interested in Suns free agent wing Cody Martin. The Golden State Warriors continue waiting to settle the Jonathan Kuminga situation before filling out the rest of the team's roster. While the Dubs are the only team with fewer than 10 players under contract, 9 currently, that vision appears to be coming into view. Al Horford, Gary Payton II, DeAnthony Melton, and rookie second-round pick Will Richard to sign with the Warriors. Assuming the Dubs re-sign Kuminga, they would have 14 players under contract and one open roster spot. Jake Fisher of the Stein Line reiterated previous reports that Steph Curry's brother Seth and Malcolm Brogdon remain candidates for that spot. However, he added another new name to the mix, veteran wing Cody Martin. We've reported previously that Seth Curry and Malcolm Brogdon are candidates for a Warriors roster spot after Kuminga's situation is resolved and the above three signings are completed, Fisher wrote. Another name on the Warriors' list of bench targets, sources say, is Cody Martin. Martin, a 2019 second-round pick out of Nevada, spent the first 5.5 seasons of his career with the Charlotte Hornets before he was traded to the Phoenix Suns at the 2025 trade deadline alongside Nick Richards. Martin had been a solid, but unexceptional role player throughout his career in Charlotte, and the Suns hoped he would help solidify the team's wing depth. However, Martin had one of the worst stretches of his career, fell out of the rotation, and was released following the season. In his career, Martin has averaged 6.2 points, 3.7 rebounds, and 2.2 assists in 21.9 minutes per game on 43.6%/30.8%/66.1% shooting. He put up comparable numbers last season, 6.8 points, 4.2 rebounds, and 2.0 assists in 22.1 minutes per game, but was horrendous over his 14 games with the Suns, shooting just 35.1% from the field and 11.1% from three. Martin would prove the Warriors some much-needed wing depth behind Jimmy Butler and Moses Moody, especially since the current prospective roster construction would seemingly have Butler and Jonathan Kuminga as the primary power forwards behind Draymond Green. However, his struggles as a shooter would seem hard to accommodate around Green, Butler, and Kuminga. If he is tied to the Warriors, Martin seems like a potential non-guaranteed training camp invite candidate or a backup plan in the event the Dubs trade Kuminga and want another wing capable of playing small forward. Stephen A. Smith tells Jimmy Butler what he must do to make up for last season, owes it to Stephen Curry. The Golden State Warriors underwhelmed in the 2024-25 season and will be looking to improve significantly in the upcoming campaign. The Warriors' record after the midseason trade for Jimmy Butler was really impressive, but the playoffs did not go as planned. After beating the Houston Rockets in 7 games in the first round, they lost 4-1 to the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference semifinals. The biggest issue for the Warriors in that series was the hamstring injury that kept Stephen Curry out for 4 of the 5 games. Butler was unable to carry his team to victory as he did with the Miami Heat, which led to an early exit. Stephen A. Smith has now laid out his expectations for the small forward ahead of the 2025-26 season. Stephen A. Smith wants Jimmy Butler to step up in 2025-26 season. Speaking on First Take, Smith named Butler as the 4th most important player to watch in the upcoming season. Here's why this guy is so important. His teammate is the greatest shooter God has ever created, who, by the way, hospitalizes opponents who chase him around stupidly, and then have to go to the hospital for oxygen. Steph Curry can do that to you, Smith explained. You can't ask him at age 37 to do that without stepping up and showing who Jimmy Buckets is and reminding the world of Jimmy Buckets and what he brings to the table. We didn't see much of that against Minnesota after Steph Curry went down. He's got to make up for that this upcoming season, with a full season under your belt in Golden State. If Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry are on their game, noise can be made in the Western Conference. And Smith is right. While Curry will need to be the Warriors' best player, they will only be title contenders if Butler plays at an All-NBA level. Golden State Warriors record with Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler. While the sample size is small, the Warriors showed great signs with Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler on the court. The Warriors won 22 out of 27 regular season games they played together after the trade deadline last season. It is difficult to envisage them winning the loaded Western Conference next season. However, anything is possible if Curry and Butler play at their highest level. It might also help if they trade Jonathan Kuminga now or at the deadline for a wing or big man who could improve the team more immediately. Steph Curry and LeBron James trade bombshell emerges and Jonathan Kuminga holds the key. Jonathan Kuminga could hold the key to a trade that will see Steph Curry and LeBron James play together. Some fans think Jonathan Kuminga could be the key to completing a mouth-watering trade between the Golden State Warriors and Los Angeles Lakers. According to reports from sports journalist Jake Fisher of the Stein Line, the Warriors are eager to complete a deal that will see LeBron James join the iconic franchise and link up with another modern great of the game, Stephen Curry. The duo are two of the best players of their generation, having won 4 NBA championships each during their illustrious careers. James reached the pinnacle of the sport in 2012, 2013, 2016, and 2020, while Curry picked up championship rings in 2015, 2017, 2018, and 2022. Curry and James even played together as part of a star-studded USA basketball team at the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris. The two stars walked away with Olympic gold medals after the USA cruised to victory in the French capital. I'm told that the Warriors have called the Lakers on multiple occasions over the past 18 months to see whether there is any trade pathway to pairing James with Stephen Curry, who roughly a year ago at this time was teaming with LeBron for the United States senior men's national team on its run to a gold medal at the Paris Olympics, read the report from Fisher. James is currently with the Lakers, following 2 successful spells with the Cleveland Cavaliers and a 4-year stay with the Miami Heat. However, at 40 years old, the 4-time NBA Finals MVP is undoubtedly in the twilight of his career. Some fans feel that the Warriors could tempt James to San Francisco by offering the Lakers. The 22-year-old power forward was part of the Warriors side that won the NBA Finals in 2022. He missed 31 games last season after suffering a sprained ankle in January 2025. The Kuminga package, wrote one fan on Reddit. Lakers' 2024/2025 campaign ended in disappointment as they were eliminated from the playoffs by the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Warriors were beaten by the same opposition in the conference semifinals. Warriors will need to wait another year for their ideal Jonathan Kuminga replacement. They may have just barely missed their chance. As the Golden State Warriors seek out a potential trade for Jonathan Kuminga next season, it goes without question that they will need a player to step in and take over some of the scoring that he provides to the team's rotation. Yet, while PJ Washington of the Dallas Mavericks could be a dream solution, with his versatile skill set and dependable perimeter shot, his looming extension means that he will likely not be traded until next offseason, a fact that could dash the Warriors' hopes of bringing him in. Nevertheless, Washington, 27, has cemented himself as a darling of the Dallas front office with his excellent play over the past 2 seasons, and his projected annual value of less than $25 million on his new contract will make him a highly coveted player around the league were he to become available. PJ Washington could be available next summer for the Warriors. Washington, through 57 games last season, averaged 14.7 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 2.3 assists while shooting 38.1% from beyond the arc. While he was a vital part of the team's run to the NBA Finals in 2024, changing circumstances in the organization, including their acquisition of Anthony Davis and their surprising opportunity to draft Cooper Flagg, means that their lineup is now stacked with pieces who can play the 4. Therefore, it is quite possible that Washington, under normal circumstances, could be on the trade block sooner rather than later. Yet, according to Mark Stein, it is highly likely that Washington will be ineligible to be dealt for 6 months past the date of his extension, meaning that he will not be traded until next offseason. While it is highly unlikely that the Mavericks would have any interest in Kuminga, given their aforementioned logjam in the front court, the Warriors are also almost certainly planning on moving on from Kuminga sometime within the next year. Therefore, if they are eventually able to offload Kuminga's salary to an interested team, they could then set their sights on Washington as the ideal addition in their frontcourt. Although the fit with Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green would be complicated, Washington has shown a willingness to fit his game to whatever role is needed for a contending team, and bringing his dynamic skill set into Golden State could propel them towards immediate title contention. Nevertheless, with no possibility of Washington being traded until next offseason, the team's uncertain financial situation could preclude them from even joining into a potential sweepstakes for the forward. Yet, if they are in a position to, Washington could serve as the ideal replacement for Kuminga's role on the roster.